Well, welcome everybody. Hope some people are there. Welcome to episode 7. I believe this is episode 7 of my live stream. Didn't have one last week. I was in North Carolina, back in Tennessee today. Got sick kind of when I was out there. Had an awesome time fishing right before the hurricane hit that area. So I got out there, did some fishing. It was amazing with Exploring Adventures. Haven't edited any of those videos yet. Caught the bowfin. Caught a bunch of bowfin. And an unusual way. So hopefully I'll have some of those videos out here pretty, week or two. Got back. I got a cold or something. Drove straight back home. I didn't even stop. I looked at a couple streams and I didn't even stop to fish them. I wasn't feeling good. And I still got some congestion, so I'll try to mute my coughs if I can. But dude, I'm excited about today. I got a really cool guest going to be on, the master angler of the creeks. And this is the first guest that I haven't fished with, like in person, but we've talked a bunch of times and we fish similar ways in different types of bodies of water, same type of body of water, different areas. And it's going to be really fun. I'm excited to hear how things are going on. He's a little north of me. We're going to talk about fall creek fishing. And if you got questions for him or me, jump on there and we'll try to answer those, and we'll try to break it down. He's really good at answering questions about how he fishes and how he does stuff. I'm gonna try something new. I'm gonna try a sponsor. Boom, right here, McKay Southern. So let me add this right here. If you are living in like around my area, let me show you this here. Oh, wrong one. I'll show you that in a minute. If you're living in like Knoxville to Cleveland and you're tired of losing power, when the power goes out, you can get yourself a whole house generator. And this is actually my brother-in-law owns the company. He's ran it for a while. They're really good. Now I got my brother-in-law owns it. My sister works at it, which is my oldest sister. And then my youngest brother. So, I wouldn't trust those people. But no, I'm just trying to do it. If you do, go ahead and give them a call if you're looking for a generator. I may mention it again, but tell them Creek Fishing sent you. Tell them I sent you. And they're gonna know who it came from. But I'm trying all this little new fancy stuff. So I'm having some technical difficulties today. I couldn't even send a link out that I was trying to send a link out. So, anyways, there's my little promotion. Let's get our guest on here. Hey, there he is.
How's it going, man?
Hey, good. All right. If real quick, if anybody, we're trying to make sure our audio is good, and I don't have this down to science. So if you hear anything going on, or if one of us is louder than the other, I can adjust that. I know sometimes that happens. I can't really tell by how I'm hearing it. But Brian, the creek caller, man, what's going on? What you been doing today? Anything? Probably had nothing going on today, did you?
Well, it's getting cold. Just got out of class about 30 minutes ago. Go to Ohio University here in Southeast Ohio, and I'm pursuing a degree in outdoor education and recreation. So I got out of class. I did fish in between classes today with no luck, but
oh yeah.
Yeah, my university is right on the Hocking River, which is somewhere I live. So
yeah.
I get to fish in between class.
What'd you say you're going for? Outdoor
education and recreation studies.
What would that be over? Like, what are you doing with that?
Working in parks, recreation, leisure studies. Like, you could pretty much go anywhere. Working for the Natural Resources, Division of Wildlife, stuff like that here in Ohio. Just kind of educating the public on different aspects of recreation. I'm going to focus on fishing, obviously. So, yeah.
Dude, that's funny because I wanted to tell you about my my little fishing trip that I did today. I went down to a greenway in Udawal. It's near Chattanooga. I can't remember which little town it is. And I got there, and I've been trying to I've been fishing some small creeks recently, or like yesterday and today. I'm trying to see how the fish are starting to calm down with the weather. So I get there, I get there, and I start throwing. I'm like, didn't get bites. I'm like, I throw in a couple of deep holes, and this is a real small creek. I'm like, I'm just using like ultralight lures, and I'm like, well, that's kind of weird. I go to like a deep hole, make a couple casts, see a couple little bass. I'm getting no bites. I'm like, that's not good. They're already starting to slow down. So I hopped around. I switched to a tiny little Bobby Garland that's small. It's like a trout magnet size, really tiny.
Oh
and then
wow.
I end up getting some bites. They wouldn't take anything bigger. Like they had to have that tiny little bite, and I ended up catching some red ear and bluegill. But yeah, you could tell they were already calming down here.
We're
And
hitting that stage, that unfortunate stage, which is, in my opinion, is really early this year, because last year at this time I was wearing the smallmouth out in the rivers here in Southeast Ohio. And what's up, Phil? The rivers are just at 55 degrees. The rivers are at right now. And the end of October, I did a kayak float, and it was like 65, 70 degrees out. And that's unfortunate. I was looking for another month or maybe a month and a half left of fishing to do kayak floats safely. But yeah, you can definitely tell. I did a float a couple days ago, and I caught 4 smallmouth and one nice like 14-incher. But when you grab them and their bodies are like super cold, you're like, oh.
yeah, it's a little disheartening, and because it's like it's changing. So let's talk about. Let's just go ahead and get into. I know we can sit here and talk all day, so if we don't pick points, we'll talk forever. But
Yeah.
I do want to cover for the main. If this covers the main part of our talking or whatever is fine. But so fall's coming on. We've had summer. It's cooled down. The nights are definitely getting colder. It's it was in the 50s, maybe 40s. I don't know where you're at, but at night the days are shorter. So that's really what compounds it. It's got less sunlight. The water in the shallower the water, the faster it's going to drop in temperature. It's just science. So like if you are a big time creek fishing person or even river fishing person, if it's flowing water, it's shallow water, those waters just slow down. So what do you say you're still fishing a creek, you're still trying to catch some bass. How are you going to change up how you're fishing if you're going out there?
So typically the creeks and rivers that I'm fishing are low, they're clear, and they're cold. In some instances, I can actually sight fish them. Some of the creeks here in Southeast Ohio, we have super clear creeks, and you can get up to a vantage point and just kind of like look around for smallmouth, and you can kind of see them like just like tuck really close to rocks, moving really slow. And I'll just base my day off that. If I throw a hellgrammite or something out there, and I kind of just like, the main focus is as slow as possible, like extremely excruciatingly slow. The smallmouth will come over there, look at the hellgrammite some more, and you just gotta be patient, and eventually they'll just kind of nibble it down. But thanks, Charles. But yeah, man, the way I pursue the fishing is I like to find fish that I can see, because it's super disheartening to fish in an area that's deep and stuff, and I'm like, okay, I want to be able to see these fish and be able to interact to what they're doing and respond to what they're doing. Because it can be tough. You can go out there and spend 8 hours on a river somewhere, find those deep holes, and just not find any bites. If at the end of the day I can at least see the fish and see their response, I can be like, okay, I had some sort of interaction with what I'm chasing. But yeah, just being painfully slow during this time of year is super crucial. Light line.
If y'all are watching, go ahead and y'all go subscribe to Creek Crawler. And if you don't know, never know who he is or anything, he loves fishing creeks, like real creeks. So and he's very good at it. He targets a lot of smallmouth. He's in Ohio, and he's trying to get 6,000 subscribers. So, and you go to his videos, and he doesn't just put out videos. He puts out good content. You're not just going to go watch, try to pick through a video that has fishing. If he has a video out, it's good fishing, good content, or good information.
Absolutely.
And
thank you.
I like looking at people's viewer rate. Like you get consistent views on every video too.
Yeah. I'm growing slow, but the people that are watching my videos are enjoying it and learning something from it, and that's what's important to me. So I appreciate
that's why they consistent watching. But anyway, let's get back to fall fishing. So I fished a river. It's a real shallow river, and so where I'm at, I'm on the edge of the Appalachian Mountains. So like if I go east a little bit, I'm going into the hills, like a noticeable change. If I go up into those hills, that water gets cold super fast. So, but some of the water down here in the Tennessee Valley, which I'm on close to the Tennessee River, so in the Tennessee Valley area, that water stays a little warmer. So I'm also like, I'll hop over here, can't get a bite. I can go to this other creek and they're still hitting, And I fished a creek, or it's a river, but it's a big creek, small river type area. that I kayaked. It's actually my last video. If you watch my last video, if you haven't, it was awesome. I had an awesome day. Like the fish were eating. Now I couldn't get them on top water. Couldn't get them on anything moving. But if I was to throw a little lure in the spots where the fish normally are, on a log, on a little cutout, let it sit there for 2 seconds, they were picking it up.
Yeah.
And I was with 2 other guys. So 3 of us kayaking. We really figured it out quick. Like they aren't hitting this, they're not hitting this. But you get that, they will eat if you get it there. And I caught.
And that's the cool thing about having multiple anglers is you can have everybody trying something different and really narrow down what's going on.
But the same thing, like some of the bigger rivers, you can go there and probably catch them on top water still. And like that little bigger water. So that's something I really think a lot about. And I know you put a lot of effort into this too, where I want to be really super knowledgeable on streams and creeks and the way they react differently. Like I can go to a little bit bigger body of water and they're on fire. And then I go over this little creek and they're barely moving around. And you can throw a lure in their face and they don't care. But whenever they do slow down, like you said, I want to be able to see them. You know, or if you know there's a hole, like there's a fish in there, you have to throw a lure in there.
And a historic hole that you've caught fish in during the spring, during the summer. You know those fish are nowhere else but that hole. And then you go fish it. That's the only place I'm going. You're not going to convince me to go. If I'm like, hey, you're going to take me to this spot. It's like, I've never caught nothing here. Well, it's 50 degrees out. And if you never caught something here during the hot months, I'm not going to waste my time in the winter time.
They're going to be slowing down. They still can eat, but you can still catch big fish. Like, and a lot of times you will catch the bigger ones. But I there's some creeks over in Middle Tennessee that I can go to right now, and they're probably on fire because they're long, slower. It's just a different style where I have gone in the fall and even almost up into November, and I've caught some really good fish. But
that's important.
It's just different. It's every stream's a little different, and
the geographical range of where you're fishing is crucial too. Like you said, you're in like the Appalachians, and you got streams that are fed from the mountains. Here in Ohio, we got streams that are spring fed, so those typically get cold super fast. Me and my buddy just did a little wet wade, like probably one of the last wet wades I'll do of the year because the water was like 49 to 52 degrees. It was super cold. And we ended up catching a couple fish, but nowhere near what we know that stream is capable of. And then I go to the Hocking River which is right down the street, which that creek flows into. And it's just a bigger system, so that water takes a lot longer to get cool. So the bigger systems seem to cool down a lot slower, obviously, because there's more water that has to get cooled down. So that's where I typically focus is on larger rivers.
I'm going to bring up something about fall fishing in just a second. I want to address this just to be done with it.
Oh my goodness!
I want to make a meme. This is what I had. This picture. I wanted to make a meme just to get attention. I'm going to say my thoughts on the walleye fishing cheaters. I was going to say, what's a walleye tournament? That's it. I know. I do not care. Like, everybody's jumping on it. It's obviously bad, but I really don't care. Do you have anything to say about it?
I mean, it's been hit on enough, and I feel like it's where they're going to get punished for whatever they did, and rightfully so. So,
it's just something that I feel like a lot of fishermen are like jumping on because that's part of what they do. Like people get caught cheating doing any kind of sport. You know, obviously they should pay, but
there are guys in our kayak tournaments. Not mine specifically, but there are people cutting boards and stuff in kayak tournaments. Like I was like, unbelievable. That's why they shifted over to like the metal boards and stuff, like catch metal boards.
Yeah. I think everybody's gonna go to that. I got the not the metal one, but the carbonite. What's it called?
Carbonite. The
carbonate. I really like
the
that
yellow one.
Yeah, they're like $29 too. Not too expensive.
Yeah. I got the metal one. It's sweet. It's heavy though.
Speaking of cheating, I learned a way to cheat that I never knew. We were talking about it in our last tournament, like a couple months ago. This was people we were just talking about, and he's like, "So, you catch a fish? Don't do this, people." I'm not gonna do it, but it sounded so easy. So you catch a 15 and a half incher. It's like a solid fish. You lay it on there, 15 and a half. Put it on a leader line. Kayak around. An hour later, put it on there, but make it like 15 and a quarter. I'm like, Oh wow, that's really easy. I'm
But
like, you
see,
could do
here's
that,
the
couldn't
thing:
you?
they can, like, specifically with smallmouth, is the markings on their body are like fingerprints, and a good tournament judge should be able to find that out, because we've had that actually
Yeah.
happen in a tournament we fished in Ohio when we had like a smallmouth tournament. This guy submitted the same fish 6 times. It was a
Goodness.
20 and a half inch. He submitted 6 times, and we're
Oh,
like,
20 and a half inches. That's gonna break some eyebrows.
yeah, okay, dude. There's not that many fish like that inland
Yeah.
Ohio. Yeah, okay, we caught him real quick, kicked him out, but yeah,
I
don't do
have
that.
caught. Have you ever caught like two back to back that were the same size? You're like, oh man, I hope they don't think I'm putting the same fish on here. I'm like nervous about it, but you know, usually they
Typically,
do. They look a
yeah,
little different.
typically there's
Usually,
some kind of marking on the fish or something that it's got from age or whatever that you can tell. But yeah, definitely won't do that.
I bought a new ultralight rod recently, and I don't know if you do this much, but as far as this type of fishing, I get excited now because I used to never fish in the winter, but I now get excited about fishing in the winter because it brings a new challenge, and I
Yeah,
downsize and I start looking for crappie or sunfish, red ear. They get real thick in certain areas. Sometimes yellow bass or white bass, and
yeah.
you can find, and you can still, it'll be creeks, but it's a little bit bigger water. And I was thinking about it, and it usually has to be, you got to find a hole that's 6 to 10 feet deep. You know, you're not going to catch them most time, in 2 foot of water. But you find
Yeah.
some holes under bridges 6 to 10 feet deep,
Where
and
you
I
can't
love
see the
hitting
bottom
those.
typically.
Yeah, I love starting to hit those. Where in summer, I don't really care if there's anything there, but in the winter, it's fun to go there because you can just go there and catch 20 or 50 fish, or you can go there and not catch a single thing. But do you crappie fish or ultralight or
Um,
downsize or anything?
to be honest, this year I was super focused on smallmouth over everything. Typically, I am a multi-species angler because I fish the river. I mean, I catch all kinds of species, and sometimes I'll go out in some of my videos and go after like a hybrid striped bass. What's up, Matt? But I am a multi-species angler. I've kind of focused on smallmouth bass this year. My channel will probably change. I'll probably do some different stuff last year or the next year coming up. But absolutely go to
Oh yeah.
different
Oh,
creeks.
also, you're not allowed to change what you do. I've been getting some comments recently
No,
that
yeah.
your channel is Creek Fishing Adventures. Why are you bass fishing? I'm like, am I not allowed to do what I want? I never care.
You gotta
It just
you
cracks
gotta
me up
stay
when
on
people say
brand.
that.
You gotta stay on brand, John.
Yeah,
You can't be enjoying your life.
I'm gonna
Okay.
start a third channel just for kayaking. But so let's talk about speaking of kayaking, let's talk about how you got into kayaking and then how you got into tournaments. So like
Yeah,
when you first got into kayak, you kind of went straight into tournaments, but what led
yeah,
you to get into kayaking?
yeah. I got a little Pelican 9.5 footer from the local department store. Was selling them for a few $100, and I was like, that'd be interesting. I took it out on the water a couple times in the rivers and the lakes, and I was like, this is awesome. I'm catching like huge fish. I'm able to reach areas that I typically couldn't reach from the banks. And this past spring, I bought an Old Town PDL 106 and was like, you know what? I'm just going to dive headfirst into these tournaments and see if I'm even capable of competing at a level of where I can actually win some stuff. And turns out I'm doing pretty good. I'm fishing the Buckeye Kayak Fishing Trail here in Ohio. There's one event left, which I'm kind of worried because our rivers are getting super cold.
Is it
But
on a river?
it's on a river. It's a smallmouth river tournament, so
Okay.
that kind of helps out. The Great Miami River in Southwest Ohio is where they're holding it, and that's the river I grew up on. So hopefully I can make a good showing. But yeah, man, just that PDL drive and being able to move and fish at the same time, being able to turn on a dime, being able to anchor up, and just it's been phenomenal. The kayak's been awesome. Actually, Old Town customer services, top of the line. I called them up. I had a little crack in the hull, and they're replacing my kayak. My entire kayak. All I had to do is send pictures, cut out the VIN number, or cut out the little ID tag on the thing. Yeah, Philip bought my old Pelican, but
I had
yeah,
that same
I
one.
cut it.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you really? That
Dude,
little
that's
Pelican.
pretty sketchy. Yeah, like it's not
Yeah,
a stable. It's not a
yeah,
stable one for.
I got in, and the thing I couldn't really stand up in it, and I was like, man, I want to stand up and be able to look
Yeah.
around because that's huge. Like when you're kayak fishing in the middle of the river and you're able to stand up And now all of a sudden I'm seeing a boulder over here, 30 yards, a log over there, 30 yards, and actually hit it from a distance. And now spook these fish. I have a video coming out on my channel where we just did a float like a week ago, and I was standing up looking for cover and flipping cover with a Nico crawl, and it was lights out. It was awesome. But yeah, man, the kayak scene has been awesome. I went down to Dale Hollow and fished Dale Hollow.
Yeah.
Have you fished Dale Hollow yet?
Out of a boat with a buddy. I've never done it on my kayak.
Kayak.
I fished it probably probably 8 to 10 times total, and I had like 2 good days out of all those.
Yeah,
Other
I've
ones
had
were pretty
one day
rough.
out of the kayak tournament I actually did this past spring. I did really good. I got 5th place out of a bunch of Tennessee anglers down there, and it was pretty cool. Yeah. I was pretty proud of myself for that performance, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that next year. We'll be doing it in the spring again. So
yeah, I'm curious because I put a lot of thought into this, because when I got into kayaking for tournaments, it's different than just kayaking for fun. So when I started doing kayak tournaments, we're out on lakes, and I had no experience lake fishing, like not really anything at all, other than fishing off a bank.
Same here.
And I know you're the same way, so I want to see what you think. So the way I would approach creeks, I'm studying, I'm looking, I'm watching fish. I learned to watch how fish react, watch what to do, things like that. And I feel like that's really helped me in my kayaking world, where I don't know
transferable.
I don't know how to use all these different lures people are using. Like, I don't use those lures, but I know what I know, and I can figure out how to just catch some fish. And that's that's one of the biggest things. Just go out there and catch some fish, because I've had enough. There's enough tournaments where it's just a struggle to catch fish. So if you can just catch fish, and then most time you're going to come across a good one here or there. But to me, that's all I think about, and I feel like that's helped me. And I was able to win 2 tournaments this year, and it's not like I was doing anything amazing. It was just being patient, slowing down. What do you think?
Yeah, definitely. It's the same process for me. I mean, I think we fished like 1 river tournament. I did worse on the river tournament than I actually did with the bass in the lakes.
Yeah.
But all of that observation and stuff that you learn as a creek angler, you can take that knowledge and apply it to any body of water, because essentially you're going after a predator. You're going after a predator in the creek. You're going after a predator in the lake. You're looking for structure. You're looking for ambush points. You're looking at water temperature, figuring out where these fish go. And so happens to be that fish love to go up in creeks on the lake. Like if a lake has a couple little finger creeks, I've watched plenty of your videos where you go up in these little creek legs and just hammer giants up in the creek. And it's the same. We're basically taking our macro look of a creek and turning it into a micro look onto the lake, and you're dissecting that lake into little bits and pieces. And it just so happens that all the creek information and knowledge that you learn, wet wading and all that footwork that we put in on the banks, it actually pays off at the end when you're going to fish. And sometimes these tournaments in Ohio, I don't know how it is for Tennessee, a limit of 12 inches can go a long way. Yeah. And that's what I've learned tournament fishing this year is, if I catch 12 inchers, I could be in the top 10, top 5. Because if everyone's having a bad day, our finesse techniques that we take from the creek can go to any lake that's pressured. 100%. Those bass are finicky, and those finesse tactics can pay off tremendously.
I know I know guys that are like power fishing, and they can do good at that. I'm not saying they're not good, which I don't know. I don't do that. I don't have confidence in that. Mm-hmm. But like you said, I can go. I don't know what it is, but I'm like, I have confidence everywhere I'm going. I'm going to go find something. I'm going to go catch a fish. I'm going to go. I'm not saying they're going to be giants, but 12 to 15 incher, I feel like I'm going to go find one. And from me, I have to mentally picture what that fish is doing. So when I come up on say I'm just going down the bank of a lake, and there's a log laying there. I throw my lure, yum dinger, or the Helgramite, something like that. Usually finesse. Every once in a while, I use a crankbait or spinnerbait. Spinnerbait, if I know they're hammering, I'm gonna go spinnerbait. Yeah. But most of the time, I'm throwing that thing up in there, and I am letting that lure drop to the bottom for 2 or 3 seconds at least, like longer than you think you should leave it there.
Oh yeah.
Pick it up a little bit, let it sit. Because I have watched so many bass.
They'll just come up there and they're just like this.
Come up, look at a lure, like you think they should hammer it, and I will sit there for it may take it feels like a long time, but 30 seconds to a minute where you just barely move it. Finally, they pick it up, and I've thought that's just because I've seen them. How many times in the lake? You can't see the fish in the lake.
Yeah, you got to visualize that.
How many times have you thrown up there and you pulled their lure away before they wanted to bite? They don't always chase it down. Sometimes, I think a lot of times they want it sitting in front of them and give them time to think about it.
And just let the water be your friend in those instances. Let your water move that lure for you. You can just. I've observed it in the creek too. I'll just cast it out, let it sit there. That fish will swim over, and I don't even touch it. I'll just sit there and watch it. And eventually, it's just like, okay, this is natural. I'm just going to pick it up, and then that's when you hook set and catch a smallie. But exactly, dude, visualizing what you do in the creek and clear water systems and applying that to dirty lakes, deeper water, that's extremely vital.
Somebody had a question here about a kayak. Where'd it go? Aquaholic fishing. I need a new kayak now. What's a can't lose kayak, middle to upper line? There's a lot of. It depends on what you want to. What's middle class? What's upper class? I guess upper class would be Hobie. Middle class. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot in there.
Yeah, there's a lot of brands. It just depends on your budget. I would say a couple thousand would get you an awesome Old Town. If you're looking at 4,000 or 5,000, that's the Hobie range. I don't even know what goes above that. I'm sure there's something, but
yeah.
But you can also find kayaks out there for $1,000 that are awesome too. It's just whatever.
Yeah, if you're looking at new prices, you can find used. But if you're looking at new prices, I feel like 1,000 and up is a super stable kayak, and
get something you can stand on. Please do not, because that was the regret I made. A few $100 more could have got me a kayak that I could have stood up on comfortably, and I think that's huge.
Yeah, even if you don't want a pedal drive, if like that Pelican Catch 100, if you went to a 12-footer or a different one like a 12-foot, that makes a big difference. So don't get I would get at least a 12-foot like.
Get something kayaks you can handle yourself too, especially because in my experience, I do a lot of fishing by myself. Something that I can manage on my own. Something that's not going to be terribly heavy that I can lift on a car or put on a truck or whatever your case may be. But there's a bunch of things you can consider when getting a new kayak for sure.
Yeah, I hate to keep recommending Old Town, but I don't mind because I know it's a great kayak. But that's the only one I really have had experience with.
Yeah. Same.
So, but I know that I've had $700 kayaks that were fishing kayaks, and the first time I tried an Old Town pedal drive, it was an old one. It was like I think what's the bottom $2,300 for those now, $2,500. Yeah. But when I went to that, it was like I don't know, it was unreal the difference. It was so big a difference that I couldn't believe it. We went from I don't want to tip over and I'm casting to. I'm laid back. I'm turn around here. I'm gonna look over here. I'm gonna lean over this way.
Basketballs off of it.
Yeah, and with the pedal drive, that adding to that, it's a lot. So
and the cool thing, another cool thing about these higher end kayaks is the resale value. Like you can get the Old Town 106. That's not the pedal drive. I think it's $1,000. Take that out for a few months, 6 months. And then if you want to upgrade, sell that kayak, put that money towards a PDL 106, and you'll save yourself $700-800 used for that kayak. Engineering hook sets. There are some kayaks that are, and that's just a base price too. That's like a base model for the PAs or something like that.
I'll go to the gas station or something, or I'll go out in the lake and I got my kayak. I got like the 3 rods, maybe 4 rods, and a couple bags, and I get people, man, you're loaded down, aren't you? I'm like. Loaded down. This is the bare minimum. Like you should see all the other guys in the tournament. 10 rods, 7 tackle boxes,
4 screens.
Yeah, and in a Hobie 14, which I kind of do want a Hobie PA 14, but it's not just for a lake kayak. But anyways, that kayak's like 5,000 new, just for the kayak. Yeah, they got 10 grand on their setup, easily.
That's not even with rods and reels.
I don't care. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. I'm
nothing wrong
probably
with
going to be
it.
that guy one day if I can get people to keep giving me kayaks and riding reels. I have looked recently at some used ones, and you can find a used PA 12 or 14 for 3,000.
And
I
that's
may end up
another
getting
cool
one.
thing about the kayak trails. Once you get into the community, the tournament fishing community, a lot of those guys are cycling through kayaks every couple of years, and you can get
That's
a good fishing vessel for a huge discount if you build those relationships inside your local trails.
Yeah, and it's easy to hate on it, but it's whatever somebody wants to do. You know,
If it
if
makes
you
you happy, man, just do it.
yeah,
Life is way too short to be sitting
don't yeah.
around. Just whatever makes you happy and gets you up in the morning, just give it 100%. You'll
It's
be
like complaining about a guy driving a brand new truck. Well, you could have bought a 10-year-old truck that did the same thing. Yeah, you could
yeah
have, but it's a lot more fun to drive the new truck.
yeah.
So, but yeah, I just funny. I like talking about kayaks, and especially to people that don't know anything about
Man,
them.
being new to the kayak world, I don't even want to tell you what I'm looking at, John. I'm looking at the pan optics and all that stuff. Man,
Yeah,
I want to go like in the wintertime. That's the perfect example. I want to
I
go to
know.
these deeper rivers, use that pan optics to find those holes, those wintering holes. If I can get them to bite, I can get them to bite, but just watch them.
Yeah, the Drew Gregory Crescent, it's $1,500 kayak, non-pedal drive.
Yeah.
So that
it's 18. It's 18.
1,800.
I think it's 1,800 bucks.
It may have gone up. Like it was 1,500 or 1,600. Like right when it first came out.
I know a bunch of kayaks went up with just recently.
Oh yeah, they probably have. I know
it's 1,600 right now.
I know 3 people that have it, and they all like it. It's a little different. It's definitely made for current. It's 12 and a half foot long. It's it's a big kayak. It weighs more than your pedal drive does. But yeah, it's fine. I mean, the RSS, well, yeah, there's a lot of good kayaks out there. And that's the thing, like you just have to look at videos and watch videos on them, and hopefully you come across it. That's it.
One shoe,
YouTube it.
One shoe isn't going to fit everybody. Just go out there and try some out.
I've reviewed sorry, my 2 kayaks, my 2 Old Town kayaks, and I had a native 10-foot on my channel. So if you're looking for reviews on those, I got those on there. The native 10-foot, I liked it. It was only 62 pounds, but it was not near stable enough for somebody my size though. It'd been great for a kid or smaller person, but Oh, here we go. I'm just talking about this real quick, and then I got a couple questions for you. All right, Maddie. So thoughts on what someone called old school tournaments where there's no electronics allowed. I haven't been in it yet. They have a couple. It's called bare bones tournaments. Have you seen any of those? Cool.
No, I haven't.
Now, some of them, it depends on how bare bones. Some of them don't even allow a pedal drive.
Pedal drive, really?
But most of those are. But they also were floating rivers. So if you're floating a river, it doesn't really matter. Like,
yeah.
If I'm floating a river, I don't want anything on there. Give me an anchor or something. That's it, maybe.
Yeah.
Like I don't need anything. So, but I think that there is going to be, which I'm around a bunch of guys here. I'm in East Tennessee. We got so many, tournament fishermen, tournament kayakers, pleasure boaters, pleasure kayakers. Like they're going to have to do something probably soon about like high-end kayak tournaments to like a entry level. Like they're probably going to have to make some kind of thing as tournaments keep going. Because, I don't know, those people like Drew Gregory's won a couple of the Hobies against guys that have 15 grand in their kayaks, and he's going with nothing. So
when it comes to that, yeah, electronics help a lot, but your fishing intuition and your instincts, that's what pays off the most at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I don't care about. I've seen people go out there with $15,000 kayaks. I go out there with 2 spinning rods and just completely destroy them. It's just all your instincts. Just electronics do help, but they're super deadly with people that are extremely knowledgeable and have all that instincts and stuff that me and John have learned in the creeks and stuff like that. That's when it becomes very crucial.
Yeah, it's definitely a whole much more to learn. And I watch a couple guys that they use they fish off like offshore or whatever they call it, and and they do really good. I watch them; they do really good in these big like Hobie tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I'm ever gonna like try to learn that. Like
it's a lot.
Like I like sticking to my simple stuff.
I got that little Garmin fish finder. It's nice. It's like a 7-inch screen. It's cool. And I'm like sitting here like, what do I do with this thing? I just turn it on and put it on 2D and just go to work. I don't even like I'll look at it.
Yeah, Engineering Hook 6 says it takes more skill to use electronics to fish deep successfully. Yeah, it takes more skill to do that for sure. Like if you can do it, yeah, it's going to give you an advantage. But most people are going to try to use it and not figure it out. And yeah, you can go down a bank and win the tournament anytime. And that's all I do. I look for structure, look for bank, and find some creek channels. As it gets colder, I don't know. I'm not that great in the winter. Like I don't know because the fish move. I kind of move the crankbaits.
Those fish are kind of retreat. Those fish are retreating those creeks, going out to the mouth of the creek and that deeper water, and probably setting up. And that's where the technology comes into play, in my opinion, because we don't really, if you can't visually see a structure or know of a structure, you're kind of shooting blind in that aspect. So,
but one thing, like you said though, what I've learned about these, I've been doing winter tournaments now for 2 years, and it's totally different. But you don't like our limits are 3 fish most of the time, sometimes 5, but like. If you can just catch a limit, like you don't have to get on them. You don't have to have a day where you kill it. You just catch 3 or 4 fish, and you may be doing better than everybody else. So, and usually there's still some shallow fish around me. There's always a fish or 2 shallow somewhere.
Yep.
But I have had days where I had one tournament last year in February where I didn't catch a single bass in 8 hours of fishing.
Oh,
that was a long day.
Yeah,
I just kept.
It's one of those days where you're sitting there in your fake hook setting just to get the feeling back with what you're supposed to do.
That happens. All right, let me get a couple questions for you, Brian. Let's see here. Let's talk about your channel. So you're hopefully over 6,000 subscribers by the end of this live stream. Go subscribe. So you're almost 6,000 subscribers. Awesome. How did you start your channel? Like what got you into, or what made you start? And what's your motivation kind of?
So I was in the U.S. Navy from 2012 to 2016. Got home, decided to move to Southeast Ohio. I'm originally from Southwest. I moved to Southeast Ohio. Went to Hocking College. Got a degree in fisheries and wildlife management. And I was doing a lot of fishing in the creeks and rivers. I have done it my whole life. And not a lot of people understood the quality of fish and how much time or how much fun you can have in these creeks. And the purpose of my channel was to just inspire people to go fishing, to understand that you don't need a big giant boat. You don't need all these fancy kayaks. You don't need all this fancy equipment. Grab a rod, grab a backpack, grab some lures, and just put some footwork in on the creeks and streams around you. And more than likely, you're going to find fish. And that was my goal, is conservation minded. As a student in conservation, the more people that are fishing, the more people that are out there buying fishing license, taking care of the resource, it's huge. And we want as many people as possible out there to just, I want to share my passion with everyone, just as you, John, on your channel. And I want people to realize that you can do it on a budget. You can do it on a budget. Yeah, I got fancy stuff, fancy rods and reels, but you don't necessarily need all that to have a good time. And kind of one of my goals of my channel is that connection with the resource and getting people outdoors and having that connection, because we want to protect these resources for our kids and our future generations. And that's why I built my channel. And that's why at the beginning of every video, I go, let's go, because I want to get people hyped. And I feel like that gets people hyped up to go out there and explore and just have fun. Just have fun with it and just protect the resources. At the end of the day, I want people to be consciously aware of our environment and how sensitive it is. And when you have a good system. How did I come up with the creek crawler? So at first it was catch and release was the beginning.
Hold on. We got people in the house.
Oh, Steve, how's it going, Steve?
Like, we got people know your channel.
Yeah, so originally it was catch and release. I just changed my name. I don't even know, probably a year ago at this point.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, I'm crawling around these creeks. I'm talking to my wife. I'm like, oh my God, that's a great name. I'm creek crawling. So I was like, I'm gonna just name my channel the Creek Crawler. And it has a ring to it. And I was like, this is it right here. And I was like, I have to stick with
I
this.
love it. That's awesome.
I have like a couple logos and stuff made now, and it's blossomed into something really cool. And I want to brand myself as a creek crawler. Yeah, I do rivers and I do lake fishing and stuff for bass, which is I'm kind of new at, but I've been catching a lot of good bass lately, and it's kind of like making me divide my time in between the streams and the lakes. But I will not leave the creeks. So much opportunity in the creeks.
You see
That a
that
lot of
what
people.
I just put up there?
Yeah.
That is that new? That the creek caller designed that right there?
Yeah, the creek
That
crawler
looks
logo
cool.
right there in the middle. I drew that Helgramite. I pretty much hand drew that and gave my hand drawing to somebody, and they created that digital logo for me.
That looks
So
cool.
yeah, I got stickers made. I haven't even announced it yet, but I have stickers and stuff I've made up. I don't know, man. I'm at that point in my YouTube career where I'm like, do I want to start like selling my merch? I want to start selling stuff, because the creek crawler isn't just me. It's everybody in the community. It's
Yeah.
a community of creek crawlers, and that's what I want to push forward going into the future of my channel.
I'm trying to sell more. I want to get. That's where I'm really working on. Like I got a new design I'm trying to come up with, and I've got it about ready, and I want to start selling more merch. But man, it's hard unless you got it. I don't know. It's a some people it's easy. I'm not good on electronic stuff. So like there's a lot of different little steps that goes into it. So it can be tough. But all right, let's go here.
Hold on 1 second, John. I'm gonna go grab something real quick.
Okay. All right. So while we're taking a break, this is a perfect time for me to show you. Oh, hold on. I'm working on some little things right here. Boom. Are you tired of your power going out when your electricity, electricity in your area goes out? Well, you need to check out McKay Southern. If you're in the Knoxville to Chattanooga area, McKay Southern can supply you with a whole home generator. And if you got any questions or you're in this area, and this right here, if you're looking at this map, this is a good fishing area. Oh yeah, all the way Chattanooga, Pigeon Forge, Knoxville, Crossville, mountains there. But if that's where you live in that area, you'd probably know that the power goes out quite a bit. They're getting better at it, these whole house generators as soon as the power goes out, it'll just blink and it's on, and it'd be powered by propane or natural gas. But call. I got information in there and the phone number in there. Call. Actually, my brother-in-law owns the company. My sister works for there, and my youngest brother works there too. So you'll call. You'll probably talk to one of them and tell them I sent you. All right, back to the creek crawler.
I was going to show you my. My stickers real quick. Check these out.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
The Helgramite's in there.
Yeah.
A subscriber named Joe made this for me, and they're super awesome. I turned them into stickers. Then here's that drawing one.
Yeah, I love that one. That one looks cool, like on a shirt or something. I think.
I was sitting down one night and I was like, what could be my logo? I was talking to my wife. She's like, you used the Helgramite. Why isn't it just the Helgramite? I'm like, okay. And then I went online and I was like, there's no Helgramite things. She's like, well, you just have to draw one. So I drew the Helgramite. I kind of
I love how it's like looking like that.
Yes, that's why I was wanting to like turn it around.
See, that's my problem. Cool. I like have these ideas, but I don't know how to like get it into. I'm like somebody could do it, but I don't know how to get it into a form. But
yeah, Matt's fishing mission, the Cast Cray, guys, that team, he did that for me. He turned my drawing into a digital form. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. We do get to meet people. It's cool through YouTube. We get to meet people and hold on. Oh, Matt just said something here. Matt, I need to get with you. I thought I'll talk to you later anyway. I need to get Matt on here. I bet people would love to get. Who says I need to get Matt on this YouTube channel or on my live stream? That's another creek fishing guy. That's what I'm trying to get. I want to get all the dudes that like make creek fishing content. It's fun to like talk to them and learn from us. And it's not like I'm like, I don't want to tell people about you because I don't want people watching your channel. Come watch my channel. Right. Everybody has their own. Some people are going to love your channel, hate my channel. Some people are going to like my channel and not like your channel, and that's fine. That's going to happen. But it's fun to me to share. Like since I do have a platform and I do have a few subscribers and stuff, it's fun for me to share smaller. You got a big 6,000 ain't small, but smaller type channels that maybe people are just like, you know what? I never knew about this guy, and now I'm gonna
Just
go check
giving
it
us
out.
a chance for that exposure. I appreciate it.
And I get to have somebody to talk to because I'm sitting here bored watching NBA basketball games. But
Don't lie, you're behind there slam dunking that ball every time.
Yeah. I saw the shoot basketball there. So I don't know if I told you this, but my goal was this is the 7th episode that I've been able to do, and I'm going to try to do it the whole winter. If I can do it once a week all through the winter, that's kind of my goal. And then we'll see. By then I'll know, do I want to keep it going or am I tired of this? And be like, nah, I can't do it. Let's just talk about the Helgermite real quick. And like, how did you get started on it? And like, what did you use before that? Like, did you change some way of fishing? Because real quick, when I started fishing it really transformed my creek fishing, and it brought it to I kind of was learning a lot at the same time, but it really changed how I fish, learning how to fish that lure well. But go ahead.
Yeah, I started out in the creeks with, I think what everyone does, which is just a little inline spinner. I was throwing little rooster tails, little Meps spinners, and absolutely crushing fish with it. But as my knowledge grew of the stream, the ecology, the creatures that live in the stream, I found the Helgermite, and it was thanks to your channel because I seen you throwing around this Helgermite, and as a student in conservation and fisheries, I was like, that makes total sense because the Helgermite is an all-year thing. It's not a seasonal. It's not like a hatch. Helgermites sometimes live 2 years before they even turn into the Dobson fly. So those smallmouth are completely custom to that Helgermite all year round. And that's a good thing about the Helgermite is you can literally fish it every day of the year if you're able to, because those Helgermites are there every day. It's not a hatch. It's not a seasonal thing. But yeah, I started with a little spinner, which I don't know why. I just stopped using it. I went to soft plastics. I went to the Helgermite, throwing some crawls, throwing little crankbaits, little topwater baits. But yeah, that's how my fishing kind of evolved. It got super advanced these past few years. I've been trying a lot of stuff out. Now I'm into casting gear and throwing some heavier jigs.
Glide baits.
Glide baits. I threw a glide bait in the creek and caught a bass on it.
Yeah.
It was insane. It was like the first day using it. I'm like, what am I doing? I was like, I know this fish here. I've caught him before. And now I'm throwing like a 5.5-inch glide bait, catching largemouth bass with it.
I don't.
I can throw the Helgermite on casting gear. I have a Daiwa rig up that I can throw an 1/8 ounce to like a 3/16 ounce jig. Actually, it's these right here, these little BMC rugby jig.
Oh,
guns.
yeah.
That's what I've been using lately. It's kind of what I found out has been the best. But using like a 3/16 ounce, you can throw the Helgermite, you can throw the crawl on casting. The video I'm about to show, I should have it up by tomorrow, but I'm throwing casting gear with crawls and Helgermites. So yeah, it's definitely possible. Yep.
I still,
you just need a heavy enough. You just shouldn't have heavy enough jig head.
Yeah. I that's me though. Like I can't stand using heavy stuff. Like I have this thought in my mind, and I know it has helped me. Like especially catching finicky bass. You know how it is. Like I use these for like my sometimes the Helgermite, but also mainly for like yum dingers or just any kind of soft plastic. It's a 1/16 ounce is like most people wouldn't even have that in their gear, but I want something to fall slow. I just know that slow fall gets more reaction.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do. Sometimes they want boom on the ground, or if you're fishing current or something, you need to get boom onto the bottom. But
and that's what I've noticed. And that's what I've noticed in the fall is that slow presentation sometimes doesn't work. Like I need to almost hit that fish with that Helgermite, and it's like hits the ground, and they're like, and they kind of get that reaction bite. I've watched and observed that as well.
Yeah, I know. I got a couple of buddies that they love jigs, and I've seen them actually outfish me with jigs when I'm using the Helgermite. Mm-hmm. When those fish are only eating that off the bottom, so you got to.
Hey, I put the Helgermite on a jig.
Yeah.
And used it on my casting gear and was laying the wood on some fish in Pennsylvania on the Juniata River when I was fishing the Hobie BOS event. I was putting the Helgermite on a little football jig with the skirt on it. Oh man, it was insane. It was insane.
I had another question. what was I asking you? That might be it. Oh, it was about the hellgrammite, but yeah. So, what's your favorite fish to go like just to go catch? Is it?
If I had an option between like a hot smallmouth bite and a hot hybrid striped bass bite,
Yeah.
that would just be such a hard decision, man. Because when you get a hybrid on the line, especially one that's like over 20 inches, it's like nothing you could have even imagined of a fish of that size. Everyone's like smallmouth's a pound for pound the heaviest, strongest fighting fish. Hook into a 5-pound hybrid striped bass and tell me that the smallmouth that you caught was the same fight as that, because those creatures are just, I mean, they were created in a lab, so they're just like monstrosities of the street.
They're crazy. I don't know if I've caught a couple. I've never caught one off a bank like you have though. I've never been able to fight. You know, that's a different feel to it.
Yeah.
Oh, this reminds me. So here's a little little helpful note. Now, me and you have talked about this. So me and you have talked about you're fishing a creek or you're kayaking, and like you're probably gonna, if you're using a spinning rod, you go 10 to 15 pound braid, 10-pound leader line. That's your setup pretty much, right?
Yeah. I usually do 10-10.
10 and 10. Okay. So this is what happened, and it took me a while to get there. It took me a while to figure out to go to 10-pound. I always wanted to use lighter gear and lighter line. Thought it caught more fish, and I'm like, well, I can throw some other lures, but braid kind of changed that. And so I'm going down the creek. This is my video I just put out. I had caught an 18-inch spotted bass, which spotted bass I fight really good in the current.
Those are mean.
So I caught it on I put it on the truck. I caught it on a light. It's a Dobbins rod. It says it's a light. It's a 6.6 light rod, which is more like a medium light. I was using braid to a 6-pound fluorocarbon leader. And my plan was to throw some small lures because there's a lot of small bass in there.
Mm-hmm.
But I started liking that rod. I guess it feels pretty good. It's the first time using it. I catch an 18-inch. I catch some small like 12-inch ones. Towards the end of the day, I'm cruising in my kayak, small, string. I make a cast over 15 feet over here, hit the bank. I set the hook. I'm going downstream. That fish shoots up the bank.
Oh, yeah.
Without budging. Zzz, snap. It, when how it is when those big fish hit.
Yeah.
Like you don't budge them. They just take off and they shake their head. Yeah. And that 6-pound line snapped like it was nothing. I was so regret. I'm like, I knew better. And I just got lazy, and I just thought it'd be okay. But I bet you that was a 5-pound spot. Like they're in there. Because I'd already caught like 2 3-pounders, like 18.5-inch 3-pounders. This dude was, he was totally different.
So when your line broke, did you break from your leader to your lure, or braid to, or your braid to your leader knot, or your actual lure knot?
Yeah,
what did you break?
Like at the hook, he just frayed it.
Oh.
And I think it's from like all our spots. I don't know if your smallmouth do this. All our spots they're really rough lips, like really rough. And I'm sure he just
real prickly.
Yeah. Like really like a sandpaper-ish. And I bet he just turned and he went sideways. And you know how you're in a kayak, you're flowing this way, he's taking off that way. Like he was peeling drag, but I couldn't. It's hard to like, if you're on a boat, you can kind of play it up and down. But it was just so fast. I just set the hook. I go, oh, this is a big fish. Snap. And oh man, I'm like, that's why I tell people
a 10-pound man would have helped you.
Yeah, like that's why people tell me, oh, I use 4-pounder, I use this. Like, dude, those big fish, those 4 and 5-pounders, even 3-pounders,
that's no joke.
They have so much power, and they can just turn their head in that tension or anything, and it's just gone. And whenever you feel one like that, especially after I'd already caught like 15 fish. I felt that one hit. He was not like anything else.
Yep.
I'm like, this was something giant.
That's what made me change. That's what made me change. I used to do 8-pound all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like breaking off on like these 19-inch plus smallies. And I knew they were 19 inches because I'd go back with 10-pound and catch them in the same area a couple weeks later. I'm like, okay, I'm never going back to 8-pound again. I was like, 10 pounds good, 10 pounds thin enough to where they can't see it. Catch meanmouth. Get to find one. If you find a stream with a lot of smallmouth and spotted bass, they'll hybridize and you'll catch a meanmouth. It's super rare here in Ohio. I don't know about Tennessee.
I catch them all the time.
Do you really?
They're all over down here. So
Okay.
I have a couple creeks that are like meanmouth creeks. They are just
really
everything in there is a hybrid probably.
Wow, that's cool.
But
See,
yeah,
our spotted bass are few and far between, and even a meanmouth would be just as rare. So
mainly it's these Alabama spotted bass. You know those? So those are different than the Kentucky spots up north. So Alabama spotted bass are moving into areas where they're not supposed to be, and they I don't know. You need to watch some videos on that. You would find that very fascinating because the way they're aggressive and they just take over areas and they inbreed or they breed with smallmouth really bad, and they'll just breed and breed and breed, and then they'll just
take over.
Yeah. So it's a big deal down here and in Georgia, in North Carolina, and they're hoping it doesn't work its way. It's a very invasive, but they look just like Kentucky spots. But I would be surprised.
I would be surprised if that strain of Alabama bass could come up further north than already it is now. So we'll see.
Well, it's from people moving them. Like it's 100%. They can't. Like they're not even native to they're not supposed to be in these waters, but people have put them in there, probably thinking they didn't know the difference, or just like something, I don't know, but it's a big problem. And they also breed with largemouth and they'll be smaller. So, but the Alabama bass get up. Our state record is 7 pounds, and I've caught 2 over 5 pounds, and they are fun to catch.
I bet. Any kind of hybrid creature is just a monster on the line.
For sure. Yeah. Carolina bass hunter. I don't know if you have. I think you might have some Alabamas out that way, but you can't tell the difference looking at them. But that's something you probably ought to look into, because I know it's not a big deal around you. It's a huge deal around me, and they're starting to make a lot of videos about them, and just the way the way Alabama bass are. The way they are, that's just their nature is just a little different.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh, I meant to mention something earlier. Let me ask this about fall creek fishing, and then I'll ask you 1 or 2 more questions. We were talking about, or I don't know if we did talk about it. Did we talk about? Maybe we already did, about catching crappie and stuff under bridges. I know a lot of people, as it gets colder, you're going to start. I never told
you what I do, and like when it gets like winter, I'll go. We're fortunate enough sometimes to get ice. I don't know if you get ice down there. I don't think so.
No, never.
We'll typically, if we have a bad winter, which it might be a bad winter with how cold it already is. If we have a super cold winter, we have ice that's safe to go out on and ice fish. So I'll go out on the lakes and stuff around me and get into some awesome fish. I throw the Nico waxworm.
Yeah.
The Nico waxworm, I'll put it on like a little tungsten ice fishing jig. Just wear out everything, like catfish, crappie, bass, saugeye. It's really cool. It's really cool to do. We'll set up tents and get a little heater going, and we'll have a little fish finder unit going down there pinging off, and it's a fun time. But that's typically what I do when the creeks and rivers like really shut off. I mean, it's possible to go out there, but you're going to spend a lot of time to catch just a couple fish unless you really find one of those wintering holes in like a deeper wintering hole in the river, like a main river system. But I found once the winter time comes, like I said, I can observe these smallmouth, and you can throw the kitchen sink at them. They will not hit. It's like they're at hibernation, and they're like hibernating or something, and their metabolisms are so low. I don't know if it's the bite window, but they just get super tough. But hopefully, I hope to get ice in Ohio, and usually I'll go do some ice fishing.
Have you ever had this happen? I don't know if you have it around you, but like, I get to do it because I get, obviously I do this full time, and I can plan my day around whatever I want to do. It will get like 2 or 3 days in the winter where it's like 3 sunny, warm days. I'll like hit some of these creeks, and you think it'd be summer. It's funny. Like I've gone through there a day before, not a bite. You go through there and you're like catching fish, and then it drops back off and they're just gone again. But like that's what I like about springtime. If we get some spring where we get some like a week of warm weather, those fish just want to come alive. They want to come alive.
They're just begging for like a 2 or 3 degree temperature change, and it like changes the whole day, dude.
But so if talking about creek fishing, we'll just like in the fall winter type fishing. If you do want to go out creek fishing, if bigger bass probably better than like the small sunfish and stuff. A lot of them will just shut down, or they'll find a deep hole. Now, if you're targeting a hole that's 6 to 10 feet deep, you can probably catch some fish out of it, or if it's a bigger stream. But you still can fish. So some people think you can't go get out there and catch any kind of fish out of a creek. You can still catch some bass, and you can still go out there and do stuff. So don't just give it up totally.
Yeah, don't.
Just go hit it.
Yeah. In Tennessee, I'm sure it's a lot better. Like you said, you don't even get ice. So when we get ice on our lakes and stuff, and our streams are running at like 39 degrees, you're not wet wading. You can strap on some waders, some neoprene waders, and find some holes. And you can go out there with a little slip bobber and ice fish without ice. Like if you can find like a river or a creek that's got a slow moving hole, use those ice fishing jigs and put the Nico wax worm or a live wax worm, whatever you want to do, and throw it out there in a hole and just let it sit there, and they'll hit it.
I got a lot of rivers. I mean, I got rivers and lakes. I got all kinds of stuff around me. So I get to just hop around. Like the yellow perch get real active. The trout get active in certain areas where I don't usually go for trout. And then there's sometimes I can catch a bit sunfish, like really active in certain areas. So sometimes it'll be funny. That's why it's funny to kind of change things up. And I like this cycle where I would never fish in the winter. And now I like it. I enjoy it. And sometimes I've had really good days like fishing the lake for bass as it's getting colder. As it gets into January, February, I struggle just like probably everybody does. That's the worst. I'm just
especially
like begging
for
spring to come. Like just
in the Midwest. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you have ice, you can go out there and have fun. So I'm
gonna have to do. I've never ice fished.
Come up here and ice fish in January or February if we got safe ice. I'm pretty sure I might be the most. Hey, you going to Florida? Get out of here.
Yeah, it's only like 11 hours to Miami from here. So, yeah,
you can go down there and catch all kinds of crazy stuff.
I'm excited. This will be like my 3rd or 4th year in a row doing that. I'm going to go during Christmas break where I'm coaching my basketball team. We have like 2 weeks off, and I'll go down there for like 3 or 4 days. And as long as it doesn't get cold, if it gets cold, if it gets like 60 down there, you can't catch nothing. No. As long as it's like 80, like it normally is, I'll go down there and I can make like 2 or 3 videos in one day. And you just catch stuff. It's so stupid easy down there, like catching fish.
I've seen some of your videos where you just pull off on a canal and just catch all kinds of crazy stuff, like Oscars and tilapia.
Yeah, it's just one after another, and there's like no stop. There's no limit, and it's just like spot. It's wild, but all right. I got one last question to ask you, and then we'll wrap it up here.
Right.
And remind me to ask you about your Waterland. But if you have an option of a fishing trip, and you don't have to worry about your money, don't have to worry about how long it takes, what's your ultimate fishing trip that you'd like to do?
Ultimate fishing trip. So it's going to be a global experience. First off, I'm not gonna make myself like internal, because I've experienced a lot of what the U.S. has to offer. So first stop, it's going to be the Amazon River down in South America for some peacock bass. Then we're going to travel to Australia and go after some barramundi, some true barramundi, like not the fake stuff they got in Florida. We're going to Australia and get the barramundi experience.
I don't even know what that is.
It's like their bass. They treat it like their bass, barramundi. So in the Navy, I got to travel around to different countries in Southeast Asia. So I've been to Australia, India, the Philippines, a bunch of Southeast Asian countries. So I got to see all this stuff. I didn't really get to experience a lot of it, but it would be the perfect trip would be just global. Amazon River for peacocks. Just like Jeremy Wade on River Monsters, how he goes to all these different continents, all these countries and catch crazy stuff. I'd love to go to Europe and catch those perch they catch over there. They catch these 4 or 5 pound perch. Have you ever seen those?
Yeah. Oh, the perch?
Yeah, the perch.
Like, there's so many perch too. They're crazy how many.
And they're giant. So, just like a global expedition, man, for like a whole year. No money, no budget, no constraints. Definitely like a world trip for sure.
Yeah, that's
Go in Thailand and go catch giant GTs, giant trevallies off the reef, just stuff like that for sure.
where are those snakehead at, like overseas? They got like a ton of them. Yeah, I saw it on a Jeremy Wade video.
I believe they're in Southeast Asia. I want to say
I don't
maybe
know if it's
China,
like Thailand, or I don't know if that's it or not.
Yeah, it might be. It might be down there. I've caught some cool fish over there. Anytime I had free time in the Navy, I was catching fish either off the boat or on the piers. I caught all kinds of crazy stuff over there. But yeah, just like a global experience for sure. That'd be my dream fishing trip.
I think it'd be that's. I mean, I think if you can do that in like, I know people do stuff like that, but if you can do it in video form, where you explain what you're going for each time.
Yes.
I think that would be so interesting, because you can be like, title it, how you got there, what it took. I love that's what people like about Jeremy Wade, or what I like about like those. I want to see the process and the journey just as much as catching the fish.
Yeah,
like,
I want to
know
see
all
the
other
logistics, the logistics that go into that trip. How did you get there in the first place? You got your passport, you got all these different documents. Like, yeah, I love Jeremy Wade. Growing up, I watched this stuff. I have a couple autographed things from Jeremy Wade actually in my bookcase. Yeah, I have his book signed, and then I have a calendar or something that's signed.
Oh, nice.
But yeah, dude, global experience for sure, man. I think
he changed a lot about fishing. Like, I don't know, it's just
man,
it kind of inspired so many people. Like, and that's kind of I took a lot of inspiration from like the way he goes for giants. I want to go explore creeks, and just see what's in there, just to see what's in there.
Yeah,
sometimes
he definitely inspired that exploration mindset for sure, man. Definitely.
Yeah. I've always wanted a counter Jeremy Wade video where, he goes to a local creek in a local town and just tries to catch like every species in that creek in like one day, and like he like labels them all off, but he's like walking through tunnels and walking.
The neighbor's dog got eaten by.
Yeah. Yeah. I always thought it'd be neat. One of these days, there's gonna be
somebody or something always gets eaten, no matter where he's at. He's like, the village lady went down there.
I like when it gets the tribal leader to bless him or something like that. like, oh, he's gonna get it now.
Oh gosh, it's funny.
Tell me about your anybody you're sponsored by or working with that you want to shout out.
Yeah, got a couple. I got Waterland Optics is the glasses that I wear when I'm out on the water. They make some awesome polarized lenses, and they're super important. As you know, polarized lenses can definitely change everything. When you're in a creek,
I can't fish without them. I don't know how to anymore.
When you take your lenses off and the glare's there, I'm just like, this is unbelievable. And then you put the glasses on, you're like, you can see boulders that you never seen before. You're like, oh my goodness. Now you're pitching the boulders and your success rate goes up. So I got Waterland Optics. I'm also on Team 6, which is 6 Sense baits, hard baits, jerk baits, crank baits. They make all kinds of cool stuff. I'm a fan of the little stuff, but I've also been throwing the big glide bait. I just made a video catching bass in the creek on the 5.5-inch glide bait, the flow glider they make. I'm on Team Nico as well. You got me started in the Nicos, and they reached out to me, and that was my first team that I've joined was the Nico Baits Pro staff. And then Vance Outdoors here in Ohio. They've been huge supporters of my channel. They've supplied me with all the gear I need to go out there and be successful in the field, and they've just been awesome. I've been able to bring Nico Baits to Ohio through Vance Outdoors. So, and 6 Sense as well. I brought some 6 Sense baits here to Ohio so that anglers can use some of the stuff that I'm having success with here in the state.
I got a question here, just because I never heard of it. Fisherman Zach says, any thoughts on Empire rods? Have you heard of that?
No.
I don't know anything about it. There's a lot of rod companies, and I've even talked to a guy, a buddy of mine, like, I want to start my own rod company. Like, I don't know. That's the thing. That's
what I hope. That's what I hope with 6 Sense one day, because if you watch 6 Sense, they're all about these giant bass and chasing these giant fish in Texas. And they got a couple awesome YouTubers, Milliken and Pig Patrol. I watch a lot of Pig Patrol. and he just got his own rods made for like what he
Oh,
does.
he did? Okay.
Yeah,
That's cool.
6th Sense made a line for him, and that would probably be like the ultimate dream, is to have like a creek lineup through 6th Sense, because they have the resources to complete that kind of mission. But maybe one day get like a creek line going.
I've been wanting to do something like that for a long time, and if it's me or somebody else, it's gonna happen. There's gonna be rods soon as people figure it out that, like, a lot of these guys don't know that people really fish a lot of creeks. Like, they don't see those people.
It's
you
a
see the
huge
bass fishermen, you see these other guys. People that fish creeks spend money on creek stuff. It's not like we're over here all broke and just trying to get by. Like, it's just a different way. It's cheap. It is cheaper for the most part, but you
It's a
also
niche,
still want
but
good
I
stuff.
feel like the creek community is larger than the other communities, in my opinion.
It's growing.
It's cheaper to get into.
I'm trying to lead it on and give it a voice. Like,
we're gonna be the Creek Fishing Alliance. I'll join you, man.
Yeah, we like, there are rods. There's a if you think about it, there's a rod built for everything you can think of.
Yeah.
Every day, but if there's not a creek rod, like, and we
like
don't
a
get into it now.
1 or 2 different rods, that's it. Like,
it's
all
just
you
a
need.
little tweak on thing. It doesn't. I mean, there probably is a rod there's rods that fit what we do, but if you just tweak them and gear them and just like label them towards creeks, and it doesn't have to be $50 rod. It can still be $150, $200 rod. I don't care how much it is.
Yeah,
as long as they have the options, and just because there's a little bit of differences, and I know people out there. There's people out there that don't have any idea who we are, but if they saw it at a store, they would think, "Oh, that makes sense. I do this kind of fishing, and I want a rod like that." But anyways, that's probably about it, man. I appreciate you coming on here. Let me show you.
I appreciate you for having me. I appreciate you for having me and giving me the opportunity, man. Definitely. I'm almost at 6K. I'm working there.
Yeah.
I got a video coming out. I'll probably finish. I just finished up the edit. I'm gonna upload it to YouTube and probably upload it and publish it tomorrow.
Okay. You keep videos coming out too. So you got a kayak tournament coming up.
You got a kayak tournament in Southwest Ohio, the Buckeye Kayak Fishing Trail. It's the last tournament. I also qualified for the Classic on our trail through the point system.
Yeah.
So the 5 tournaments I did fish, I placed 15th or better. I got like a 3rd, a 7th, a 9th, a 15th, and a 16th, I think. And I'm sitting in 8th for Angler of the Year in our league. So that goes to show, man, the creek fishing has paid off. And what's up, Bass and Beer? But yeah, we got the Classic the week after that, so looking forward to it. It's probably going to be cold in 2 weeks, but
so let me wrap this up real quick before everybody leaves. I know who my next guest is. It's actually Bass and Beer. So he's been on here before, but we are going to talk. I've already talked. We're going to talk next Tuesday, as long as we're still here, because that Wednesday we're both heading over to Middle Tennessee, and we're going to be fishing in the Cass State Tournament. I think it's definitely going to be over 100 anglers, and there may be even more than that. I think the payouts get up close to 4,000 or 5,000 on this for first place. Like, and this could be the biggest tournament I've ever fished in. It's on a Kentucky lake, a place I've never. Well, I can't say I've never fished. I fished off the bank of it one time, but I've never kayaked. Haven't been there in years. It's a really big deal. Our group that we fish with is going to get us a house to stay in for 2-3 days.
Man. That's awesome.
It's gonna be, they made us.
Is it a 2-day or 1 day? Is it a
2-day tournament? It's a Friday and Saturday. It's kind of a. It starts weird. It starts like it's a little bit different the way they do it, but I think it's like 9 hours both days. But yeah, I'm excited. Oh, also the way they do this one. I don't know if you've done any of these 2-day ones, but the
Hobie BOS was a 2-day event.
Okay. Was it top 5 bass for each day?
Big bass total, I think. And they might have done big bass for each day, but then big bass for the whole event.
I mean, is it 5 fish limit?
It's 5 fish limit, yeah.
Okay, so this one is a 5 fish, total of 5 fish for both days.
Okay, so your biggest 5 for both days?
For both days combined.
Gotcha.
So you can catch 0 one day and 5 the other day.
Wow.
So it's really, they did this last year and it was really weird. I did horrible. I think I got like, I think I got 30th out of like 110 or something like that. But it was a tough. But anyways, I'm excited about it. So, hey, I'm gonna end the video. Hold on there, Brian. I'll get you off there. But appreciate everybody on there. If you're looking for a generator, check out McKay Southern. Tell them I sent you. I'm trying to make some money here, so I'm trying to sell some generators. But hey, appreciate everybody. Be back next Tuesday night. Well, I don't know what time exactly, but we're gonna talk kayak tournament stuff. Thanks.
I appreciate everybody joining.